So the Olympics just wrapped up, and it got me thinking a little bit about sportswear. Yeah, the track athletes always look cool with their jewelry and their racing suits, or the gymnasts, or whoever. And I really loved the closing ceremony outfits that Team USA wore. I'm a sucker for a racing jacket. But I kind of was thinking a little bit more about regular sportswear, things that you and I would wear as normal people. I used to work in the outdoor industry, and specifically in endurance sports. A lot of cycling, running, hiking, that sort of thing. And over time, I've noticed that endurance sports were kind of making their way into fashion. Or maybe it was fashion that was making its way into endurance sports. Last year, I remember seeing Aimé Leon Dore, or maybe Aimé Leon Dore, made this thing for their Spring/Summer 23 line that was a wool cycling jersey. Now, wool as a cycling jersey hasn't been in fashion for a very long time. It's kind of a hot, gross material that I don't like wearing when I ride a bike. Yet in the marketing that ALD created, they actually featured the jersey on a rider going through New York City streets. Of course, it was categorized in their tops and kind of in like a knit polo sort of sense. I don't think they really anticipated people to use it as a real jersey. Yet I thought it was interesting that so much of the marketing actually focused on using the jersey as a jersey. And while we're talking about ALD, I think it would be a little bit of a miss to not talk about some of the other brands that I feel like are really leaning into this sports and especially vintage sports aesthetic. From shirts that make it seem like you're a part of a New York basketball club, or this piece by Samuel Zelick that looks like it's from a high school marching band, there's a bunch of clothing and brands who are leaning into this varsity/club aesthetic. And I think that's the part that's really driving this kind of sportswear but make it aesthetic trend. You know, maybe this is some sort of post-2020 kind of cultural reaction, but I feel like there's a lot of brands these days that are really focusing on having a club associated with their brand, and specifically a lot of run clubs. I feel like every couple months there's a new brand that's launching that's trying to revolutionize or something to the running space, where they're doing a run club as part of their overall branding. I think that I first saw this with brands like Tracksmith, and that was very East Coast, very preppy, but now you're seeing that with brands like Bandit and Satisfy that are launching a very curated aesthetic that they also encourage you to join them on actual runs. Of course, they're still doing a lot of branding. I don't know how I feel about the Satisfy Crocs collaboration, but you know, that's out in the world. Now, to be clear, I don't think this is a bad thing. I worked for the longest time for a cycling brand where our whole shtick was having a club that was attached to it and a clubhouse that you can go to. I just think that it's interesting to see that this is the trend that sportswear in fashion is going to. You're no longer seeing the Gorpcore thing. I don't feel like I'm walking around seeing people in head-to-toe Arc'teryx. And it's also not the athleisure thing from a couple years ago where it was just supposed to be comfortable and casual. What I feel like is happening now is that brands are turning to creating clothing that you can just happen to do sports in. And this is something that we've seen forever when it comes to marketing apparel and that sort of thing. And I think a great place to look at that is the world of watches. There's the Rolex Explorer, or even my Tissot PRX, that they're labeled as sports watches, but nowadays they're really more of just lifestyle watches that, well, could take a beating if you need to. The most intense sport that I've ever done while wearing my PRX is a somewhat spirited game of Frisbee. Usually if I'm gonna do real sports, I wear my Casio World Timer, but I suppose I've also ridden my bike with my PRX. Moving on. I recently did a photo shoot with a brand that's based here in Boulder called Ripton, and their whole shtick is having performance denim. Think denim that you can ride a bike in and do BMX jumps and do stuff that I personally cannot do on a bike. For brands like Ripton, I feel like that's almost an antithesis to the whole Gorpcore trend. You're not wearing Gore-Tex or synthetic materials just to go to the grocery store. You're wearing cotton pants and t-shirts to do honestly some pretty hard stuff while being active. Brands like them, Merrell, Topo Designs, and even some legacy brands like LL Bean kind of have this vibe to them where you can be really hardcore about sports and activities, but you're also going to be chill about it at the same time. It's almost like you're really, really fast and really hardcore about your sports, but you also like to take it easy at a very aesthetic coffee shop while you just kick back after your very hard time riding a bike or running very, very fast. That is something I can get down with. So while I don't think I'll be really embracing this thing in my style every day, I think I'll definitely be pulling bits and pieces into it. I obviously will be wearing your run-of-the-mill nylon Nike shorts when I'm just hanging out, and I obviously do like wearing denim, and you know, I do ride my bike to work every now and then. I think it's fun being able to wear normal clothes while doing an activity, whether it's wearing a nice watch while you're riding your bike or going on a run with your crew of very well-dressed runners that are also much, much faster than you, and then you kind of get dropped and a little bit left behind. So that's all I had for today's video. I kind of just wanted to talk about how I feel like sportswear is going from being super, super intense to being something a little bit more casual and something that I feel like you can incorporate in your day-to-day. If this is something that you think that you'll be doing in your wardrobe, let me know in the comments down below. I'd be interested to see what kind of things that you'd be into. But as always, I appreciate you watching. Hit the like and subscribe button down below. Always helps the channel grow, and you can follow me on Instagram. And I'll see ya in the next one. Also, this is kind of unrelated to the video, but I got these for kayaking and just, I mean, like, look at those.